Everyone, and welcome to another week in ReduxConquer. We have some very significant gameplay and PvP changes coming in this week, and we just want to do a quick video covering the bulk of those changes and the reasoning behind them. Our overall goal is to fix up some of the inconsistencies and bugs with our PvP code to provide a more stable environment which we can then balance around. We want to balance around a working, accurate system rather than trying to balance things around something that's already broken. The first thing you'll notice is that with the changes to melee waters that we're going to go over in a second, as well as the changes to Tort Gems and Bless attributes, we have created a Viper Fang skill book. This can be learned by anyone in the game and will be usable with any two-handed weapon. So you're going to see that being used by a lot of melee Teos over the next little while. The second main thing is we restructured how Blessed attributes and Tort Gems are taken into account when reducing damage. The main thing you're going to notice is that it's going to be a lot harder for very, very tanky players such as Full Tort Gem Waters to reduce their damage to taking 1 damage, 100 damage, that sort of area. They're still going to be very tanky, and we're going to try and provide them the tools they need to survive, but no one should feel as though they're simply unkillable. We just don't think that's fair, and it's not how things worked in the original game. So that's the main thing that you're going to notice. As part of that change, we have then also removed the hard cap that we had on Tortoise Gems. I believe before it was set to 50%. We're removing that, and it's going to go up to about 72% cap, or whatever it would work out to with having 2 full Tort Gems in all of your slots, except for offhand weapon. We don't want to give Trojans that one key advantage, because then you could end up with a very similar idea of them becoming unkillable. The second thing you're going to notice with that same change, though, is that it's going to heavily impact people who are using XP Shield. XP Shield's still going to reduce damage, but same thing, it's not going to reduce damage to 1. So definitely play around with that. Now that we have a much more fair and consistent environment with those changes, you will be able to rebalance things. Now, as part of the changes that we did to Poison Blade, we mentioned that we were going to be rebalancing a lot of weapon skills, and a little bit of that's going to be coming in this patch. For example, we have restructured some of the one-handed weapon activation rates and proc damages. So for example, Dagger deals a very large amount of damage on activation, similar to what it would on official TQ servers, but with slightly higher activation rate. A few of the other unused weapons, such as hooks, we have given slight new attributes. For example, Hook will cause a small amount of poison damage. It deals 15% current health damage 4 times, and the tick interval is about 1000 milliseconds. So that'll be not overly useful, but it's something to provide a little bit of flavor to that weapon type. Axes and hammers are going to have a small stun effect. For 500 milliseconds after being struck by the effect, your character will not be able to jump. They will still be able to walk, but they will not be able to jump during about 500 milliseconds after that skill proccing. Skills identical between hammer and axes, so at that point it's personal preference. We also did go ahead and improve some of the dash code. That is still a work in progress though, so we don't want to talk about that too much, but warriors can expect a little bit of love over the next few weeks to try and find a better balance point for them now that they no longer have their unique two-handed weapon skill, and now that XP Shield has been nerfed a little bit. Now, speaking of warriors, we did actually give them a slightly higher reflect rate here. Basically, what was happening is that, obviously, warriors are only really used as a reborn path. People were feeling that the reflect rate was a little bit too high. It was currently set to about 10% activation rate for all classes. What we're doing is that we're lowering that to 8% for normal players, and pure warriors are going to have a 12% activation rate. Not a very large change, but still enough to give them a little bit of an edge when it comes to blocking or reflecting damage. Same sort of changes. You can now block archer damage if you're holding a shield. It's about a 15% chance to block single target arrow damage. There was also a few bugs with power leveling experience, a few interactions with stigma, and also some bugs where things like XP Shield stigma weren't being removed after you died and were immediately revived. So we have fixed those bugs, so you're going to be able to find a full list of all of the patch changes on our websites. Now, a couple of other popular requests that we have had. We have unlocked the FPS. It's now at 125. And we also did go ahead and add some new hairstyles. Those hairstyles will be activated through the Dis City quest. You can just trade in those tokens in Phoenix Castle and pick up some new ones, including the Christmas hairstyles and the bald hair. So hopefully you guys will appreciate some of these changes. If you have some balance suggestions or anything along those lines, definitely post on our forum. We love hearing from our players. And keep in mind that these changes are going to continue to be iterated over the next few weeks until we can find a good balance point. Main point right now is simply finding a point where things are not going to be incredibly overpowered or underpowered. Once we fix those main issues, we can fine-tune things a little bit more.